we are talking about our way too early predictions for the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April. Man, for me, I don't know. I do. This is Switch. I have a feeling that right now for me, they're going to show off, their opening day games, and then like the UI, how things are run. If they made any improvements to the App Store, things like that, and then any sort of gimmicks that they have. If they, we were assuming the mouse functionality, things like that, and then I've been on record saying that I don't know if we're going to see a whole bunch of games or anything like that. I'm thinking that there's going to be another direct that will actually bust out a whole bunch of games for the first quarter of the Switch 2's life. But they'll at least give you the games that they're going to have opening day in this direct. That's where I'm at. Andrew, what are you thinking?
Can I go?
Oh yeah,
I'll go first. I'll go second. Sorry. I'll explain why. Sorry.
No, all good.
Oh, Eric did his hosting thing and got shut down.
No, we're good. Sandstorm, you want to go?
Yeah, man. I can give you the real, and I can give you what I really want. So, the real. So, they're gonna come out on stage. They're going to say this is the Nintendo Switch 2. They're going to give you the price point, and they're going to give you the date right off the bat so we can get our groans and our moans out the way, or our hoorays and shouts out the way. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to get, I think I agree with you, Eric. You're going to get the whole mouse preview and maybe some other little tidbits. I don't know if they'll ever talk about DLSS. That just doesn't sound like Nintendo. I think you'll just find out and you'll be like, wait a minute, that's what that is. Like, but they won't come out and say it. Maybe they will, just doesn't really sound like them to me. You'll get a sleuth of the third party people like, yeah, we're here day one. It was us. We were the ones. Yeah. We've been here this whole time, and Elden Ring is coming, and we shout, and all the other games that are supposed to come. That's the end of my reel. Then I think in my own predictions, shout out to Jack. I don't think we'll get an actual view of it, but I just need a little side pan of Donkey Kong, and they'd be like 3D Donkey Kong coming, and that's it. I don't need anything else. You've told me everything I know, but I think we'll also get a little more on the Mario Kart, since that was the first one that we saw, what the name is, blah blah blah. Not too deep into it. I don't think you'll get the mechanics. I think you'll just get more of what we got, and then they'll be like, thank you, and bow out.
Wow, short and sweet.
Yeah.
So not a blowout is what he's predicting. He's predicting.
Nah. Why give you everything? Why give you everything when you've already been just gnawing at the bone to get something?
Because 2 days later people are going hands on. That's why. Literally, it's 2 days later.
That is very true. But
it's fine. You think it's basically going to be another teaser?
Yeah.
Come to the show. It's 10 minutes long, and it's just another teaser.
Come to the show. You'll see what you get. Come to the show.
Yeah. Will they at least give us a release date?
Yeah. They're going to start off with release date and price point.
Okay.
That I think, just like with the original Switch, they're going to knock that out the way. So you can cry and moan all you want at the beginning, but by the time you get to the end, you'll see all the games, and you'll be like, oh, it's okay, I guess.
It's okay, I guess. All right. I'll let you off the hook now. Who's next, Eric?
I'm ready now, Eric. You can put me last as punishment. I understand.
I feel like he was searching. Were you Loki?
Andrew, I think you should go.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I think your body's ready.
I was looking up the answers.
Just contact at Nintendo.
He was texting Doug Bowser quick
Yeah.
to just see what's up.
Well, when I saw this topic, I was like, oh crap, I gave all my predictions 2 weeks ago. I got nothing new to say. So I went back to the episode, went to the YouTube transcript, and I copy and pasted my answers. So
There we go.
there we go. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll keep it short and sweet because in case, but just my thoughts have not really changed. I think I'm going to talk about more of the games because I think I'm clueless when it comes to the other stuff. I think we'll get prize and release date and all that, pre-orders, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But I do think as far as games go, we're gonna finally get freaking Mario Baseball. Like it's about dang time. Like it's the only Mario sports game we haven't got
Besides basketball.
Sluggers.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, but basketball was kind of, what was it? It was the 3v3 game.
3-on-3.
Yeah.
Beautiful character models.
Didn't Square help with that, or did Square develop that?
I
Co-develop?
can't remember.
Yeah, it was odd, man.
Yeah, that is the word for it. And I think we're gonna hear about the Mario. Well, actually, okay, this my mind has changed here. Is last time I did say we're gonna talk about the Mario 40th anniversary. I think that's gonna be February now because it'd be kind of weird to talk about it after Mario Day. So, yeah. I am also standing by that. I love the hype. I love the optimism, but people are like honestly bringing up 15 first-party titles, and that's not going to happen this year. I predict 7 at the most, 1 a month. I think that's been a solid strategy they're doing. And Mario 40th will be one of those months that will run on both Switch 1 and Switch 2. I talked a lot about the anime section, that we're actually going to get good anime games. Nate's favorite games, gacha games, like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail. They won't have Zenless Zone Zero, which I know Nate's very upset about, but it's okay because we'll also get Infinity Nikki, Final Fantasy VII Remake. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get the more niche ones. Like people are really, I mean, I think I know there's been leaks and stuff, but I'm gonna stick with my gut here. The more niche ones like Star Fox and F-Zero, we're not gonna see this year. We're gonna wait till the install base gets a bit bigger. You got to pick 7 titles for the first year of the Switch. I can't see them picking either of them, Sandstorm.
Okay.
That's my logic. I want it. I want to be wrong so freaking bad, especially with actually, both of them. I say Star Fox because we're already getting Mario Kart this year. I would like F-Zero to have its own racing year, but and then we'll get the reminders if they're not announced, like Pokemon Legends EA and Kirby Robobot. Well, that's how I'm feeling about the April Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct.
I like it.
Stash, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. All right, everyone, get ready. There's a lot here. There's a lot to discuss.
Of course there is.
Go. Buckle it
Do it.
Buckle it in.
Buckle up.
Strap it up.
All right, so let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. Mario Kart 9 is obviously a launch game. Metroid Prime 4 is a cross-gen launch game. It has to be, because it has to take advantage, I've said this a million times, of the Switch 1 install base and the Switch 2 launch hype in order to get Metroid as a franchise into that next stratosphere, which it has to do. Also, the other reason it will be a launch title is because they will showcase the mouse controls with Metroid Prime 4. This is a great showcase title for the Direct. There will be one other first-party title, and it's going to be a gimmick game, like 1-2 Switch. Whatever the gimmick's going to be, don't really care. So those will be the 3 first-party games from Nintendo. Mario Kart 9, Metroid Prime 4, cross-gen, and whatever the gimmick is. Then we're going into Elden Ring Complete Edition. I 100% expect this. It will obviously have the DLC. You have to get this out at launch because on top of that, Switch 2 will be getting Elden Ring Night Rain. And I do want to bring it to everyone's attention. This game's coming out on PS4. base PS4. So this is 100% coming to Switch too. Let's talk Assassin's Creed. We will see Assassin's Creed. Likely Mirage. I think that's what's being worked on for it. You can take this one to the bank. Just Dance 2025. Take it to the bank.
I mean,
I heard it's coming out on the Wii also.
Yeah, there's going to be a Wii version as well for sure every year. I do expect that though. Flight Simulator.
Hmm.
No Pilot Wings, but we're going to get Flight Simulator. I could definitely see that happening. Also, it's a really good showcase once again for mouse controls.
Also, of note, Flight Simulator mostly runs on the cloud. People that didn't know that.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
game itself actually mostly runs on the cloud. Like, it's not a cloud game, but because of the realism of the world and how expansive it is, because it's the world we live in.
Mhm.
It mostly runs on servers. So
Oh, I thought it was obvious you would be flying in the clouds, but
Oh, nice. That's good. Yeah, I definitely see that though. The Halo Master Chief Collection.
Hmm.
I expect that to come out on Switch too. I think about how impactful it would be to launch a Nintendo console with Halo. And it's just like, you got to get there at launch just for that headline alone. You know what I mean? Like the flagship, old school flagship, because it's not the same anymore, but the old school flagship Microsoft IP launching day one on Nintendo. That's freaking cool.
Mhm.
I think they like the sound of that as much as we probably do. Sea of Thieves. I expect that. I think that can make a lot of money on Switch too. And it was supposed to come to Switch. It was originally announced for Switch 1. Do you guys remember that?
Mhm.
So I think that
don't,
comes to
actually.
Switch too.
nice.
And also, how cool would it be to have a Rare title at launch again? Because that is by Rare.
Yeah, that would be great.
Minecraft. Again, mouse controls. Great game to showcase that. Back to Ubisoft. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope Collection. Think it's a good chance it could be at launch, if not its launch window. One that I'm really hoping is a launch title. And it's for reasons we've discussed on the podcast. I actually retweeted it last week with the eye emojis when I saw the release date for it. When I saw it was May 15th. And I saw that's a Thursday. And Microsoft usually releases their games on a Tuesday. And that's Doom the Dark Ages.
Mhm.
Immediately, when I saw May 15th, I'm like, hold up. That's right when Nintendo goes on break for like almost 3 weeks from the Nintendo Switch 2 Experience Tour. That window right there is the big break.
Mm.
And as you know, the Switch 2 Experience Tour is going to all of the places first where the Switch 1 launched first. Then there's that big gap for almost 3 weeks. And then they move on to the other territories where they launched Switch 1 later, like South Korea. They launched it in December 2017, 9 months later. Hong Kong didn't release till December 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So that window right there gives me a lot of hope, because it's like, Microsoft, why would you suddenly decide to release your first party title on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday? So that's why I'm hoping May 15th could possibly be a launch date, which I'll get to. All right. Another title. Guys, I go back and forth because there's 2 fighting games I could see launch on the Switch. That's Tekken 8 and that's Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter is a big one for me because how many times has Street Fighter launched on a Nintendo console and done extremely well? 3DS did excellent. The Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD for the Switch. Old game. Sold gangbusters. We need some fighting games. I don't know if we're going to get Tekken 8 and Street Fighter, but I think we get one of them.
Also to note, Nintendo got to reveal the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, not the others.
Yeah, that is a good point, and that's a huge deal for the old heads like us.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Call of Duty. I don't know if it's going to be there at launch. Personally, I think it would probably be better if they launched it with the Halo Master Chief Collection and launched Call of Duty when it releases in November. Start with the first new Call of Duty. I think that would be the most logical business decision. Otherwise, you could end up having Metroid Prime and Halo and Call of Duty all on day one. That's a bit much. So hopefully they think this one through. I do expect Madden. I expect EA Sports College Football. And a big one that, again, this is going to show off the mouse controls. That's The Sims. The Sims.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. That's got to come.
Mm-hmm.
EA said they're going to be bringing the support. That is a great way to bring back, because, again, we have My Sims on Switch, but we don't have, and that just came out, by the way, in October. We need like The Sims 4, the current Sims. And that would be a perfect game for it. I don't know if we're going to get 2K25 at launch just because, the new one will be coming out in August. Usually comes out the end of August or the first week in September. So we may or may not get basketball at the start. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Again, let me remind everyone, this game is on PS4 as well. Base PS4. I fully expect RE4. Baldur's Gate 3. Again, another great game for mouse controls. Diablo 4. Again, another great game for mouse controls. Red Dead Redemption 2. Probably been saying that for a year. Fully expect it. That'll be the one game from Rockstar at launch. Square Enix, Final Fantasy VII Remake. That will be a launch title. We will get Rebirth, and we will get the third game in the series. And again, I'd like to remind everybody that Rebirth is on the Steam Deck. And it runs good. It's coming to Switch too, for anyone who doesn't think it can run it. I'm going to talk a little indie. We're going to get Hades 2. I fully believe that Hades 2 will come out of early access and will be a launch title for Switch 2. I think we will finally hear about Hollow Knight Silksong.
Yes.
I think it's
Ooh.
coming to Switch 2 for the
Get
launch.
the clown makeup.
Hallelujah.
I think it's coming. I really do. This is the best possible time for them to release this game. If you want to capitalize, have your game there at launch. Honestly,
Isn't it crazy? Out of all the games you said, this might not be your opinion, but that's the most unlikely one.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the games you just said, and that's the unlikely one.
The
That's
game
insane.
that I played a demo of at E3 2019.
Right.
On
Crap.
Right.
I have footage of it
crazy.
on my channel, and that's the one that's unlikely 6 years later.
Well, I do have one unlikely game in here that I'm going to talk about that will be teased. But I hope everyone's writing these down because there's going to be a lot of right answers here, okay?
Receipts. Get the receipts out.
Ruffy and the Riverside for another indie game that
sure.
will be there.
Mhm.
Yuka Replayly. These are games that we know. Gotham Knights by WB, Warner Brothers. The game did not sell great. I think it will be coming to Switch 2 to try and recoup some sales. Konami. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater will no doubt be coming to Switch 2. And need I remind everyone about Metal Gear coming to the 3DS?
Excuse me.
We did get that on the 3DS. That's definitely coming to Switch 2. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remake. That will be getting announced this year. I do think that comes to Switch 2. Another game that needs to recoup money, because actually sales just came out for it today. Or player numbers.
Hmm.
So there's what is it? 35 million Game Pass subscribers. Roughly. 4 million of them have played Indiana Jones. This game's free to you guys. Free. And 4 million have played it.
Hmm.
This is why it's so important that that game comes to PS5 in the spring like it is.
Mm-hmm.
The DLC's coming out in the spring. Perfect way to either put a complete edition on Switch 2 or get it on Switch 2 and you can sell more DLC. I expect that. I played it on Series S. It ran perfectly fine. 60 FPS, no problem. Fantasy Life. Professor Layton. We get an update on that. Visions of Mana. Haven't talked about Sega much. I think we get Persona 3 Reload. And think there's a good chance we get a new Super Monkey Ball launch. Because that is tradition. It's a great party game. And Monkey Ball's been there a lot for Nintendo over the years, ever since GameCube. And I also think we see Fallout 4.
Hmm.
Okay, as far as the console presentation, console/OS, we're going to get an NSO update. We all got the email, right? From Nintendo that said look forward to some exciting updates that we have to share with you later this year.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew that meant that we're going to get those updates when the big Switch 2 blowout is. I do think we get GameCube. I think there will be a GameCube controller that you can get from the shop. Again, we saw a lot of those parts being ordered for a GameCube controller months ago, probably 6 months ago. I think there's a reason why. I think the GameCube controllers are already made. They're sitting in a warehouse. They're ready to roll. DS is a possibility. But I will say for NSO for sure, I feel real confident about GameCube and Sega Dreamcast. I feel pretty confident about Dreamcast coming to NSO. This is the time to come to the NSO on Switch 2. I think they'll touch more on the mouse functionality. And they're going to probably show us some things we haven't thought of yet. And we're like, oh, wow, this is going to be crazy. So again, like we knew about it because of leaks.
Mm-hmm.
But Nintendo's going to show us ways that we never thought of, which they're very good at doing. So we're going to see that in the presentation. I think they'll kind of gloss over the OS. We'll be able to see that it's a lot more improved. It looks better. They may show us the eShop maybe, or at least say something about how it runs better. But they will not admit that anything's wrong with it because that is not how Nintendo rolls. They're not going to admit defeat with the eShop. As far as price, I feel confident in that the pricing will be between $349 and $449.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on if they're going to do 2 SKUs or not, right? Like if they do a Mario Kart bundle, I could see it going as high as $449, but I really believe they want to keep that at $399 if it's bundled with Mario Kart. And the base console would be $349. If there's just one SKU, I think it's $399. So that's why there's some variance there. I do think we get a price drop on the Switch OLED and the Switch Lite, the Switch family of systems at the same time. Obviously, they can't be priced that close together. The original Switch and the Switch 2. So I think those get a price drop. Again, launch date, I think it's going to be May 15th or May 23rd. Again, I already mentioned why. I was saying those dates. There's a couple other factors too, though, with the May 15th or 23rd. I think it is probably important to get it out before Memorial Day weekend, before people start traveling and going out of town. I think July is too late for the summer. Those aren't good. They're not good months for retail spending. June's not great, not terrible, not great. May's a lot better. April, May is a lot better. That's why I lean towards May for retail spending. Also, because all the summer game shows are in the beginning of June, it would be good to have your console out by then.
Hmm.
And I think right after it's over, pre-orders will open either same day or they'll say they open tomorrow. Just depends on what time it's going to go down at, but be ready to pre-order. Now, these are the not launch games from Nintendo, and I'll rapid fire them. New 3D Mario will be shown, not a launch game. It will be the big flagship title for the holiday. Something Zelda, possibly a very early teaser or a Legend of Zelda 3D remake. Ocarina of Time. Animal Crossing, quick little tease, just to feed the Animal Crossing fans.
Mhm.
To that way they go and buy a Switch too, but it ain't coming out yet. I doubt we see a tease yet for Smash Brothers. It's possible, but it would be a very small tease if we do. Something Kirby will be very lightly teased, and when I say tease, guys, I'm talking sizzle reel.
Hmm.
Luigi's Mansion 4,
Mhm.
Fire Emblem, 3D Donkey Kong.
Thank you.
Yes. Star Fox, F-Zero. I threw one in here as a joke, but I'm still hoping Wave Race. And here's the one tease. Here's the one tease that I think would make everyone shit their pants. You guys ready for it? Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, he said Banjo Kazooie.
Okay,
Right-
I
right at
rescind
the
my
end.
earlier statement. That's the new unlikely one, not Silk Song. That's
See?
the-
That's why I told you. I said there's one for sure that you're going to say is more unlikely. But I think that will cap off, and everyone will walk away and be like, "Oh my god, Nintendo and Microsoft." They're going to be like, "Look at all the games that Microsoft is bringing to Switch 2.
Mhm.
Like their relationship must be so great." And then we're going to get to the end, and we're going to see a tease for Banjo.
Mm.
And everyone's
have-
going to be like, "What?"
You have now officially replaced Mike Odyssey from the old show in the play. I mean, before you even got to that, you practically felt like they're blowing their entire load for the next 3 years in this thing. This is insane.
Hey,
That would be the most
I would
insane
love it.
showcase ever.
How
So,
do you follow up with
There's
that
only
in the
3
summer?
launch titles though from Nintendo.
Sure.
That's not a lot.
There's like a billion third parties and indies.
I mean, that's
Yeah, but
probably-
if you look at it, each studio wants to get
Yeah.
probably 1 or 2 games at launch.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you really have to look at it that way.
I see. I don't look at it. I look at it as they don't want to because they don't want to all compete against each other at launch.
Ubisoft is going to be there. They always are.
Sure.
They have to make money, otherwise they're going to close.
Sure. Sure.
They're ready to close, man.
Yeah.
They have to make
They're
back
ready-
as much
ready to
money as
sell.
they
They're
can.
ready to sell, to be fair.
EA wants a piece of the pie now. Microsoft is going to be there in full force. Bandai Namco has their own studio for Nintendo. They're going to be there. Rockstar is only bringing 1 game. Square Enix is only bringing 1 game.
That's it.
Like literally, I looked at this list.
Launch window, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
launch window.
Well, that's what I was saying. These are launch games and launch window. That's what I said in the beginning.
Okay. I was like, if these are all day one, like this is not. Not only is that like the best
No,
launch lineup ever, they're also going to cannibalize each other, and no one's going to buy half of it.
yeah,
Everybody's
no.
fighting in the.
I think they need to all be very strategic about this.
Yeah.
If I were Nintendo, I would be working together with some of these studios,
Mhm.
like possibly conference calling in with the higher ups from each studio. Bring 1 delegate. Let's figure out how we're going to roadmap this so everyone can make as much money as possible. That's how you do it. That's win-win situation.
All right. All right.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Follow up with that.
That's my-
Yeah, it is your turn.
All right, let's come back down to earth a little bit over here. All right. I'm between Sandstorm over there and Stash right now. This is ain't gonna be as wild as Stash things, but it's not gonna be a little 10-minute teaser either because we're gonna be games in person 2 days after the show. We're gonna have the release date. We're gonna have the price. The hype's gonna be wild. Do I think this is some like 2-hour event like they did for Switch in January? No, because it's not. It's a direct. It's not an in-person giant presentation because they're doing that by having fans literally come out and play it in person.
Mhm.
They're not going to do this in-person event like they did last time where they have all the media come out and it's this big stage show. Clearly, that's not their plan. Their plan is to do a pre-recorded, pre-put together direct. And it's going to be a big direct, though. Like, if you think back to their bare minimum, like their E3 days, their digital presentations, it's going to be 45 minutes minimum. It's going to be a long direct.
Mm.
I could see them pushing an hour just because they're going to be showing hardware stuff and OS stuff probably in there. But for starters, I'm expecting at least a 40-minute, maybe an hour long. I don't think they're going to go for the 2 hours, although I would be all that would make my fucking day if it's a 2-hour event. I'm all for it. But I think because they're calling it a direct, everyone knows their biggest directs are usually about 40, 45 minutes. Maybe they throw an extra 10 or 15 on just because they're going to, it's not just all games this time, right? So yeah, I do think that they're going to show the operating system finally. We're going to see that. We're hopefully going to see massively improved eShop stuff. I don't know if we will, but I would love them to show. They don't even have to explain it because Nintendo's not one to explain these kind of things. Just show an eShop. Show someone going on the eShop looking for a game, and whatever game they find is a surprise game announcement for the thing, right? But then all of a sudden in it, they buy the game, they show someone playing it, and then it comes back and they drop a review. They're bringing back the Wii U 5-star. You can go in and drop reviews to help user rate games, to help people sort through and find games. And they even show, like, they drop down in the search list where you can search by user review. That would be sick. Okay, so that alone, like, without even explaining the eShop's better, that would just show the eShop is better. Now, what else is going to be improved about it? Yeah, that's for us YouTubers to nitpick about and see what else looks better in it. But I don't think they're going to spend a lot of time on that. That's going to be like a quick thing, like a transition to a game sort of thing, where they'll go through the eShop to transition to a game. That's what I think they'll do. And then they'll show and handle the show and dot. I do agree with Sandstorm. Like, I don't think DLSS is being brought up at all. Upscaling is being brought up at all. Nintendo doesn't talk tech. Okay, they'll talk about things they think impact games in a control way, like shaking the controller for ice cubes, right? So, like, if HD Rumble is improved, they'll bring that up. I don't think it is. It's probably not improved, but they would bring it up if it was. Just like they'll bring up the mouse. They're going to bring up the mouse function. They're going to show it. It's going to be shown again. I think Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is the obvious that it's a cross-gen launch game. I think that is the game that shows really off that, hey, hardcore gamers, you want mouse controls, we got it for the games that deserve it. And then I do agree with Stash that they will have some sort of casual party, some sort of game that will also showcase that mini game focus, like a 1-2 switch or something. It would be something that's like a hardware thing that should be packed in Nintendo, but this is Nintendo, so it won't be. It should be packed in. This should be like a free game. Nintendo, remember when you used to do that? When you used to pack a game in? Wii Sports? It should be that. But it won't be because it's Nintendo. They're going to charge you $70 for this silly thing that it's only going to sell well because it's like one of the few games you can buy day one. And Nintendo put it out there. So I do think that sort of game is going to exist. I know Stash alluded to it as well. We don't know what it's going to be. It's Nintendo's creativity. It could suck. It could be awesome. Like Nintendo Land, awesome. Wii Sports, awesome. 1-2 Switch, So, it could be hit or miss. 1-2 Switch isn't bad, by the way, if you play it in the intended way. Just most people aren't throwing rooftop parties, Karen. That being said, and everybody's 1-2 Switch, that's just a trash show. But I think they've learned their lesson from that one. Besides that, Mario Kart 9, as Stash said, the obvious launch game at this point. It's the only game they've shown. So to me, that means that is the de facto launch game. It's just like the very first game they showed on Switch was Breath of the Wild. We already knew it was the launch game. So the first game they showed there, it's going to be the launch game. It's going to be the best-selling game on the whole platform. Nintendo knows it. It's evergreen forever. And I do think we're going to see a decent amount of it. I could see them showing off at even like 5 minutes, which is still a lot in a 45-minute presentation, because they're going to show off like new things. Because remember, this is not just a hardware presentation. It's you need to buy these games on our hardware, and here's why. They got to sell us on why we need this and why Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is why we can't just stick with that. Backwards compatible, right? Why do we need to buy the new Mario Kart? They got to show us why. Now, obviously, this is where they'll probably they'll highlight a bunch of stuff in this. They'll feature the online stuff and whatever new modes they have in the 24 players. I know there's speculation out there might be pit stops and we might have to refuel. If that's a new mechanic, I expect that to get explained and shown off. And I definitely expect them to be like showing off a dozen tracks, and just how wild and crazy and expansive and whatever the new stuff is that's supposed to attract you to this game. I fully expect it. And if they go like, hey, we redesigned every character from the ground up, that would be really cool if they kind of show like, hey, here's a comparison of this compared to the last game. Like, we put a lot of time into this. We really care about this. We'll see. Nintendo does get pretty deep into their games, so it's hard to know how deep they're going to go. But I do think because it is the de facto launch game, they're going to go pretty deep into it. Metroid Prime 4 is the one I'm not sure if they're going to go super deep, because they might show it at a potential Switch 1 Direct next month. So the big news here might be that it's just a launch game and we have mouse controls. And that might be like a real quick like minute trailer for that one. And just get you excited that, hey, if you want to play it with mouse controls, you got to buy Switch 2. But it's also a Switch 1 game. Besides that, like, those are kind of like what I think Nintendo has at launch. There'll be more launch window games from Nintendo, of course. They like to average a game a month. So there'll probably be 2, 3. They'll probably show off with, like, if the system's coming out in May or June, they'll show off their big holiday title, whatever that holiday title is. 3D Mario is obviously a really popular guest. So that'll be the big one because we're way overdue for a 3D Mario. Could be a Zelda remake, even. Could sneak its way into there, especially if they have like a from the ground up Ocarina of Time. That would be a very big announcement in this show. And if that's like holiday and then they're saving Mario for when the Mario movie comes out, but it is Mario's 40th this year. Kind of feels appropriate if they drop the 3D Mario this holiday, kind of like capping the year. Like, hey, you haven't touched anything like this since 2017. Here you go. Here's our GOTY game this year. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, I think they probably drop it. They might even drop it in October. They really like to put a big game in that October window. So we'll see what happens. Because I do think there's a chance. I know Legends Arceus is rumored to maybe be this summer. I think it could also end up being fall. And if that's the case, that'll be like a November launch. And I don't think we're going to see Arceus in this at all. I think that'll be at the Pokemon Direct. Let me see what else. Lots of third-party stuff, but not as much as Stash. Like, Stash thinks they're just going to blow everything here.
I said launch window. We all know what launch window is for Nintendo.
Sure,
it's 9 months.
Yeah, right.
Yes, but that means they're not all going to be announced here. Example.
No, it could be sizzle reel though.
We didn't know Doom was coming after the 2017 event. We found that out later. We didn't know about Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. We found that out at E3. So, like, the launch window games, like, there's June coming up. We have Summer Game Fest. We have probably another Nintendo Direct in June, because they always do one then. We have another Nintendo Direct probably in September, because that's when they do it. So, like, they have other times to announce games. They don't have to blow everything here. They just got to convince the first 3 months to buy the game, like to buy the system. They want to sell this thing out. So they're going to hit heavy on their launch games, and they're going to hit heavy, I think. I think within this presentation, I think they'll spend 15 minutes on the hardware and some of the new features. The rest will be games. I think there's going to be a heavy focus. Let's say it's 45 minutes. It's a half hour for games. I think there's going to be a heavy focus on, like, let's say 12 to 15 titles. And they're going to all be there for specific reasons. Now, as crazy as it is, I do kind of agree with Stash. Silk Song is one of those games that'll be there, and I think it's going to be the only indie game shown. I don't think they're showing any indie games. This is not an indie world. They'll have indie worlds in the future that will show stuff. But because this game is like the most demanded game at every indie world ever, them being like, hey, they got it ready for launch. This is the big indie launch game. Like, that would be it's there for a reason. Because people have been waiting so long. People associate the game with Nintendo despite it being on everything. Because Nintendo is where it first blew up. So, like, yes, I do think that'll be probably the only indie game in there. I think the rest are going to be there for specific reasons. And as an example, if they show off NBA 2K, which I don't think they will, but if they did, it would be just to show how much better it is on this compared to the last platform.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like, look how much, like they might do a quick, like someone sitting there playing NBA 2K, the last one, like on their Switch, and they look over and someone's on a Switch 2 and they're like, whoa, what is going on? I don't know. Dude, this is the Switch 2 version.
Yeah, 60
and
FPS.
zoom in on it, and there's like a like the music's bopping, and you're seeing the dribbling, and maybe they even have like LeBron come in and do a dunk or whatever. And next thing you know, it's like, dude, look at those visuals, man. Dude, that looks like playing on Xbox. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's on Switch. I think things like Elden Ring, because I don't think there's going to be any sort of like Zelda at launch. I think Elden Ring with its DLC will be a launch. Will be day one. Because Nintendo won't have anything that really competes with it day one. And I don't think they're going to have any other third-party game come out day one that's going to compete with it. So it's a really great, like, epic Western. Well, it's not really Western, but, RPG out day one would be great. And then, I know it feels like a Western RPG, but it's totally not. From Software is not a Western studio. And then they go ahead and they'll also tease in there that Night Rain's coming. Obviously, it's on PS4, guys. It's coming. So they're going to tease that Night Rain's going to come as well, maybe even day and date. I do think Doom: The Dark Ages is in there. I know there's some things like Nate the Hate hasn't even heard it's being in development for Switch 2. He expects it to be there, but he thinks it's going to be like a port later. I don't know, man. That Thursday date, that May 15th, that feels launch.
Mm-hmm.
That feels launch.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there'll be 2 shooters at launch. It's going to be that and Call of Duty. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Black Ops 6. Could be. But also we're in summer, and now people are going to start talking about like the new Call of Duty. So it might even be something like Warzone. So they might just be like, no, we're not going to do 6 because our marketing shifts about the ship. But Warzone's our forever game. Let's get that out there day one. So I can see that. I can see a few Switch games shown off being played on it, but they don't say anything. You just look at it and you're like, wait a second. That's Breath of the Wild? My Breath of the Wild don't look like that Breath of the Wild, but they don't tell you. They just go, no, yeah, your game looks better, but we're not telling you why.
Right.
They could, to be fair, they could advertise that Switch backwards compatibility includes game upgrades. That absolutely could be something they advertise. That is a selling point, but I do think they like to be like, nah, let's leave that as a surprise. You just find this out later, and we talk about it in interviews and stuff. But they'll tease it in some way. I feel like it might not be Breath of the Wild, by the way. That's just the obvious one because that's been rumored forever. But it could be any game. I do think that they will show. I think Remake and Rebirth are in, and I think that's to show 2 things. One, Final Fantasy's back, and it's on our system. It's back. We have it. This is not messing around. No excuse. Square Enix said they're going everywhere. They meant us. Come in here. And by the way, announcing Rebirth is a big get because there's a reason for that. Hey, this is a PS5 exclusive. It wasn't made for PS4. And it's coming here. Our system's powerful enough for that. It's a statement game from Nintendo to put that in there. Just like people thought the impossible ports with Doom, this is a statement game. This is a no, we got this. No one's shocked now if Doom is there. They're just not. We expect it now. We've gotten all the id Software games for like the last 10 years. Like, yeah, we expect it now. But we don't. We only expect that because it's rumored. It's been rumored, right? That's the only reason we even expect it. And still people are like, no way we're getting Rebirth. Just wait. I think it's going to be in there. And then there has to be something big. A showstopper at the end. The showstopper is probably a Nintendo game, to be clear. Nintendo likes to end their presentations with a big game from them. I don't know what that big game's going to be. Something teased that's either this year, Splatoon 4, or if it's like a next Animal Crossing. Maybe they even tease Smash because it's possible Sakurai's actually been working on that for a couple of years. Could get a Smash tease. Even though that might not be till 2026, it doesn't matter. They just got to tease it. Like whatever game they tease at the end doesn't have to be this year. I've even had some faint thoughts because they do tease this years in advance that maybe they tease 3D Zelda because they like to tease that game years.
They always
ahead.
do.
They always do. And if it's not this year, it'll be teased next year. So I'm like, they could do that because people will not shut up if that happens. The internet will literally not shut up because no one realistically expects to even see a glimpse of that this year. And they just show 30 seconds, just a pan out of the overworld like they did with the original Breath of. It's all they got to do.
Yep.
That's all they got to do. Just a pan out and the Master Sword, and you're like, oh shit. It's
Right.
go. Did you see those graphics? It's fucking go time. That's
It'll sell more
game
consoles.
for like 4 years. It's still not going to come out to like 2028, 2029, but no matter. No one's going to be able to
Exactly.
shut up about it. And we
That's-
probably won't see it again for 2 years. But
That's
it
why
doesn't
they'll
matter.
tease Animal Crossing.
But I do think the big game they dropped before that, because I think they're going to try to end with two. They're going to end with something surprising, like a 3. It might not be 3D Zelda, but something that shocks you at the end. But they're going to shock you before that with a third-party game people don't expect. GTA 6.
Mhm.
GTA 6 will be shown. Now, they're not going to promise day and date. There won't be like, hey, it's coming out the same day as PS. Like, obviously, no. We know that's not how they make their games. They go one platform at a time, porting their game. But it being teased at all is also great science because everyone thinks, oh, yeah, you got Rebirth, but you can't get a game like GTA. Bet.
That's what I'm
dropped
thinking.
that, and everyone thinks that's the end. Oh, shit. They just dominated GTA's. Oh, that's why I said, because Nintendo likes to end their presentations with their own game. How can you top excitement for GTA coming to say GTA is the biggest game on the planet?
Mhm.
How can you? That's why I said maybe that's why they tease 3D Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the
Mhm.
one thing that would get Nintendo fans to go like, we got GTA, and they fucking teased the 3D Zelda. So it has to be something big. That's why I'm like, they can't be teasing like an Arms 2 or something at the end. Like it would have to be something that can get to the GTA hype cycle levels with Nintendo fans.
Hmm.
Because GTA might not excite every Nintendo fan, but will excite a lot of gamers. So you give them that one last surprise at the end. So I kind of think it's going to be something like that. And that's already a really big presentation.
Yeah.
And throughout it, they're going to show off, how it works in handheld and dot mode. And some will have a mouse mode, some won't, yada, yada. I think we see the Pro Controller. Totally think they show off the new Pro Controller at some point in there. They might not talk about it, but you'll see someone holding it and you'll be like, oh,
For
that's
sure.
got the C button. That's different. So
I got
yeah.
a question for you guys. Actually, it's a 2 question. I don't want it to get like way out on a tangent. One, do you think we get different looking boxes for the Switch 2 than the original Switch? And the second question, how this actually came up, and I really didn't have an actual answer for it, but how do you think they do the cross-gen games like Prime 4 to Prime 4 on Switch 2?
So, like, if you buy Prime 4 on Switch 1,
Yeah.
and then, like, a year later, you buy Switch 2,
Yeah.
and how is it going to play, and is it going to cost money kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see Nintendo doing that model of, yeah, it's going to cost you an extra.
I can see upgrades being NSO.
Me too.
NSO.
NSO.
You get them free with NSO, otherwise it does cost money.
Base NSO or expansion pack? Because
God.
if we're staying true to the expansion pack name from N64,
Yeah,
only the expansion pack will get you higher resolutions.
Also, the base is really, really cheap.
yeah, I could see them going its expansion pack.
Mhm.
The big thing will be if they get third parties on board with that, putting theirs in NSO, or if they're going to charge. Like, because Nintendo can't control that. What third parties are going to do?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. Like, we could look at obviously PlayStation 5 and Xbox and look at what they've done as a first party, both Microsoft and Sony, versus what third parties have done. Some third parties it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then some charge $10.
Yep.
I think either way though, I think it's a really good deal. Like I was very happy with all of the PS4 to PS5 games that were upgraded.
Mhm.
Just overall with the performance, the graphics, the pricing of it. I was just very pleased. I thought it was very consumer friendly. And I don't see Nintendo going anywhere out of those bounds, right? Like
Mhm.
if they did 10, Nintendo would do 10. They're not going to be like, nah, give me 20. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be the same price. But again, I do think the NSO avenue is definitely a route you can go. I mean, I think that would really increase the NSO sales.
Mhm.
But I think first party games, there's going to be a ton of optimization. There's going to be a ton on Switch too. Ton. It's not just Metroid Prime. There's going to be a lot. Obviously, Breath of the Wild. I would hope Tears of the Kingdom.
Mhm.
Paper Mario, we already know. That baby's going to be running in 4K. It's in the code. Nate, what just happened? Something exciting, right?
I had an epiphany.
Okay.
So I talked about 3D Zelda maybe being like a closer. I think the closer could be Smash, but here's the thing.
Hmm?
In the trailer, they show off the lead character from GTA 6 is in the game. Coming
Oh,
up with
dude.
the trailer.
That would blow the internet up, literally.
The internet would not be able to handle that.
It'd be funny
No.
because you would think it would be more of GTA 6, and then you just see like a
Yeah,
letter
it's
pop,
just
and
like,
you're
oh.
like, what?
What is happening? The character runs and runs. The next thing you know, he's onto a Smash screen fighting Mario, and you're like, "What is happening?" The internet could not handle that.
What if at the end of the trailer, someone like walks up to him and hands him an envelope? He's like, "What's this for?" And then they open it up. It's an invitation to Smash.
No, it's totally not gonna. That's pure hopium. But I'm like, if you want to win the internet like forever,
I
I
mean,
would
yeah,
definitely break that. internet.
definitely.
oh yeah, no, oh, you wanted to take attention away from GTA on PlayStation? You just did it.
You never know. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have an episode at some point talking about Smash characters and
Oh,
third
yeah.
parties because
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you think about Microsoft. I'm just like, oh my god, what's going to come from Microsoft?
yeah. As soon as that Smash game's announced, there's going to be theories on what other characters are in and DLC. We're going to have a lot of. That's going to be a fun conversation when
Yep.
that happens. Oh man, is that Eric? Did you have any
Yeah.
predictions you want to throw in?
No, I had Game Miner right away.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
What's the launch price, Nate?
$3.99. I'm pretty confident in that.
One or two SKUs?
I think there'll be two. It'll either be a color variation on the Joy-Con,
Mm.
or there'll be a white version.
Mm.
Yeah, I did see that.
That's it. And well, that'd be anything crazy. I don't think we're gonna have like the Mario Kart Special Edition day one or anything like that. But I think I don't think there'll be any differences. I think they're gonna be the exact same. And think about it, they launched two SKUs with Switch, the black Joy-Cons and the neon Joy-Cons. So I can see them going. I mean, I think the black and white theme would be interesting because I also feel like if they did that, like the Sandstorm asset, would there be any difference with like the physical copies?
Mhm.
I think they're going to probably be the same size, like the actual physical pouch will be the same size, but I think they'll change the color from red and maybe go with the black and white sort of theme.
That's what I said. Oh my gosh, that would be.
And then that would
much
fit
better.
launching with a black and white version of the system as well.
Yeah.
I would.
It would all go together.
That would be cool. I think you got to ditch the red probably.
Yeah, you don't have to ditch it entirely. I know they're using
No.
it because like the Switch is kind of red branded, but I feel like for the boxes, you got to switch that up a little bit.
Yeah, we can't confuse anybody.
Yeah, it's
No.
got to be very obvious when you walk in the shelf that that's a Switch 2 game versus a Switch game.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So
Okay. The other one, launch date. What's your launch date window prediction, Nate?
well, I just did a video. I'm pretty all in on that 15th date.
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm pretty convinced. I know it's mostly a theory. You know, you can argue, oh, did Doom leak the date? Probably not, but then maybe. Who knows? Because they don't launch games on Thursdays, and here they are launching on a Thursday. And I know, well, you bet your Collector's Edition you can play on Tuesday. Yeah, every game. Well, name a AAA game that doesn't do that.
They're all doing it.
They're all doing it.
Yeah.
So,
They need someone to test the game.
the
Right.
official launch day is Thursday. So like that's convenient because that's when Nintendo launches game. Microsoft does Tuesdays, and you might go, well, go look at the other games they announced in that direct. They all launch on Tuesdays. Go look at the games they released last year. They all launched on Tuesday. This is the first one out of all these batch in the last like 3 years that's launching on a Thursday. So just saying, I think that means something. But if that's just all hullabaloo and all the math and all the other theories that support the 15th are wrong, because the other supporting factor, guys, is for some reason Nintendo has a break a 2-week break in their experiences. Like May 11th, Nintendo Switch experience stops and then doesn't come back again till May 31st. For some reason, there's a gap in there, even though until
We
that
know
point,
why.
it's every weekend. And there's no major event technically happening in May. Like gaming wise, there's PAX East, but that's not considered like a major event. There's no major event happening in May to cause there to be a 2-week break, unless that major event is they're launching something. On top of that, I throw one other cog in there. Because I think 4.2, that Nintendo Direct they've already announced, is kind of the blowout. Like this is because we're going hands on with it right after. So like to me, that it has to be the blowout then, because that's what happened in 2017. They had that January event, then it was hands on Switch experiences right after. So since I'm pretty confident because of the Switch 2 experiences that that's the blowout, I do feel like I don't think that Nate the Hate was wrong that there's a May event. He was told about a May event a couple months ago. I don't think he's wrong about a May event. I think that May event's just the launch event. Because he didn't know what the event was. He speculated it would be the blowout, but he didn't know what it was. He just heard something's happening in May. Yeah, it's launching in May, so it's a launch event. They always do. If you guys don't know, you can watch it on like Nintendo's socials. They always do like this countdown to midnight and handing the person their first Switch.
Yeah,
they make like a big deal out of it. Nintendo does that on their socials. So like, yeah, it's going to be. I think like a launch event is what he's probably hearing about, and he just didn't know that's what it was at the time. So that's the other supporting evidence. But I will say, if it ain't May, then you go with the traditional thinking. The last experience is on June 1st. They launch in June. Because there's no other in-person play events after that. But I do think, and I said this in my video, I think the advantageous thing about either launching first week of June or in that middle period of May is it gets the system out before all the summer events. And so those summer events are going to feel like a lot of Nintendo events because Switch 2 logos are going to be flying all over the place at those events. Even if Nintendo's not participating in Summer Game Fest, it'll feel like they are because Switch 2 logos will be everywhere. It won't just be an occasional rare, Choo Choo Charles Switch indie game, or Plucky Squire. Throw out a really good game. Plucky Squire with the Switch logo. It'll be AAA games showing Switch 2 logos. And so that'll be really, really exciting this summer. Now we know definitively after the last Microsoft showcase, the developer direct, they put PS5 logos in. The summer showcase will have Switch 2 logos in it. Like just definitively. They were already putting PS5 logos in their events. So they're going to put Switch 2 logos in that summer event. If Ubisoft somehow cobbles together a presentation, if they're still a company, they'll still they're trying to sell, but whatever. They'll have Switch 2 logos all over that. In fact, they'll probably have another crossover game with Nintendo, something. Maybe they're working on Star Fox for Nintendo. I don't know. Because that team that made that other game was really good.
Starlink.
Starlink. That game's really good. I think if you take that team and you task them with a Star Fox game, I think they could do something. And if Ubisoft likes money, Nintendo's footing the bill. So you ain't got to pay for the game to be made. And then you just get to reap some profits when it sells like 5 million copies on Switch too. That seems like a win-win for them. So we'll see. That's maybe more of a pipe dream that's happening, but it would be nice. I think Ubisoft has some talent at the company that's just not being used correctly. So we'll see. I always have hopes for Ubisoft because they in the past have made a lot of good games.
Agreed.
I agree.
So yeah, I think getting your system launched ahead of those events just makes you the talk of the summer.
Exactly. Summer of Switch.
You're gonna be the talk of the summer anyways, but imagine that like Nintendo has this thing where you can't put Switch 2 logos in until after we launch, and then they launch it in the middle of June, and that's after all the events, and none of those games had Switch 2 logos in. Like it's just an awkward situation.
Yeah.
Very.
Now they might, by the way, they might release the reigns after April 2nd, and we might just get third parties blasting stuff all over the place. But yeah. And so that's one reason too that I don't think like that huge massive blowout that Thunderstash thinks is going to be like with all. I don't even know how many games do you have on your list. You got a rough estimate?
Easy 100.
Yeah,
I would say there's probably 30.
Okay. So the reason why I don't think there'll be as many is that because I do think after April 2nd, third parties will be off their NDAs and they could start promoting their own games without Nintendo and get their own attention. So that's one reason why I kind of think they won't all necessarily be in there, especially if they're not at launch. They want to time their things differently, time their own marketing, not be beholden to Nintendo, not have to wait for their directs to do things. But yeah, I'm sure like right now, none of the third parties. The reason because I know what's his name. Why am I forgetting his name? He's a journalist. Jason Schreier. He put out there that like, hey, one reason to reveal it now is so third parties can talk. Well, they ain't talking.
Yep.
Which means Nintendo has them under NDA until a certain day.
Mm-hmm.
And that certain day is probably April 2nd because they want to hold surprises. They want Doom the Dark Ages to be a surprise. They want maybe GTA 6 or Elden. They want that stuff to be a surprise for their event, to build their event even bigger. And their argument to them to make them sign those NDAs would be simply put, do you know how big this event's going to be?
Mm-hmm.
You know the attention your game's going to get at this event if you wait? Do you want to be Digital Foundry's impossible port game? I'm just saying,
sure.
like, so that's kind of why I think Nintendo maybe put a strict NDA in. And any company right now, all those indie games you see announcing Switch 2 stuff, guys, they don't have dev kits. I've had several indie companies reach out to me. Nintendo's being very restrictive with dev kits for indies. Some of the indies did get to go visit Nintendo HQ to see what the Switch 2 is about, but most of them were not offered the ability to buy a dev kit yet. So they might be planning to bring their games to Switch 2, but they're also under no NDAs, which means they could say their game's coming to Switch 2 just because they know they're going to develop it for it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not under NDA because they don't have a dev kit. So that's why they're able to say that stuff. If you're paying attention to something like that's why I said Silk Song, notice they ain't talking Switch 2. Now you could argue they're not talking anything, but actually they have. The programmers actually have recently talked about Silk Song on Twitter and stuff, like admitting that it's that they're still working on it. It's very much still a game because they were being accused that it's all vaporware.
Mm-hmm.
And they came out and clarified, no, we're still working on this. So and it will release. Very clearly, the one developer said, it will release. Stop telling me it's not going to release. This thing is going to release one day. So, yeah. So I think they might be one of the select few that got one. And the reason they're just not talking is because they're dropping it at the event. So they got to kind of be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, last time we saw it, I think officially was what? The Xbox event? When it was supposed to release within the next 12 months?
Yeah.
That's the thing that gives me doubts. Like, do you think Microsoft would have some kind of contract that they like? I bet they had something there where like we get to say this, we get to release it, even though it's coming out everywhere at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the announcement was it was going to be in the next 12 months. It's going to be on Game Pass. I'm sure it's still going to be on Game Pass. Yeah, absolutely. It's probably still, that contract's probably still in place because
but it was supposed to be like Xbox's time to shine.
Sure,
like,
but that was just for that announcement. That wasn't for all future announcements about the game.
But Silk Song didn't fulfill their end of the agreement.
Well, of course they did. They also probably were under no obligation in the contract to fulfill it. They just probably told Microsoft we'll be out in the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could be true too.
Yeah, we don't obviously know the particulars. Just like the 10-year contract, everyone's like, Microsoft's not honoring it. They didn't put Call of Duty on Switch. I'm like, they talked about in the court case how they could put Call of Duty on Switch. They never said they were going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we also never knew the dates that those 10 years applied to. Just because they signed the contract doesn't mean the contract starts right that second.
Yeah, the contract could have been 2025 is when it starts.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft definitely has dev kits. They got a lot of big studios. They definitely have Switch 2 dev kits. So, all right.
I was gonna say I think some side validity. Not that it's as strong, but May is still also technically tax season in America. So
Yep.
Full tax return time.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Yeah. A lot of people don't get their tax returns until that April-May time. And after I think a lot of us believe that the pre-orders start either the day of the direct or shortly thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to have that money to plop down. They're going to be like, no, I want this thing day one.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Now, again, you guys might go, well, they don't base everything on the United States. And you're right. They don't base everything on America. But, like, it is their largest market.
Mm-hmm. And
then Japan. And then everywhere else. So, yeah, they are definitely going to care about what the heck is going on with the U.S. and making sure people have money for this thing. But yeah, does anyone else think it won't be $399? I know there's some concerns about tariffs and stuff. Does anyone think it's going to be more expensive?
No, I think $399 is like the point at this point. Like Thunderstash said, I think they dropped the other SKUs down when this thing is they finally throw out the numbers
Oh, yeah,
for Switch 2. It only makes sense. And $399, Nintendo's not really one to go like crazy with prices in the first place. So I think that's really generous, especially if we're talking about a system we should be seeing that is so much more powerful than the original Switch. I think $399 is a good price.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair.